this is hooked up to that, that's hooked up to that over there, that's hooked up to that down there. I kind of know what I'm doing, but usually it's after I'm done doing it. Beautiful. Look at that. We have perfect, and we have crappy. My problem is, car's a piece of shit. Uh-huh. A lot of clamps right there.
This will be burning rubber in 16 months from now.
It must be alive, I don't know. I pulled this under the seat piece out, this tool storage part. These are all the rivets that were, things that were riveted in there. That's kind of gnarly, to be honest. We should see if we got another one in the Paul collection. I don't think there's one of these though. Sure is nice to have a whole bunch of stuff, isn't it? There's nothing. I've already been through a lot of this and shuffled it around a bunch of times, rearranged it, and starting to get some of it cataloged and put together. I think the thing for under the seat's going to have to just get cobbled back together. I'll probably put it in the electrolysis here and let it rip. Ooh, that's crunchy. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's the scale. That's the transfer of the ferric oxide. But you got to clean those often. Our tool compartment floor pan under the seat thing is really giving off some rust. So I got into here a little bit, and this is the last spot on the inside of the car that I really needed to clean the frame and stuff up on. Everything around it's pretty much been painted in, so now this is this last part. Trying to figure out what to do here, if I really want to go all the way and just keep changing this stuff, or I want to fill this. Just kind of splash some epoxy down in there. I took this back one off because it was just mangled. That was the rear section, passenger door. So this is just pine. I cut this down. I'm running low on ash, and I think for this stuff here, pine will be fine. I did half of that with a bevel cut, and then I did the rest with a hand plane saw or whatever to cut these two areas out. Uh-huh. Some people will know what that means. Duh. Deeper she goes. It was just too deteriorated to really just cobble together. So I took all that off, I pegged everything, and I'm going to come through and fill it with resin. And then over here, this board turned out to be one piece. It had a chair of worms, critters, raccoon, ants. I don't know what made those holes. We can see a little bit more of them over here where they were boring. I'm sure someone will chime in with an idea of what that could be. This is actually one solid piece of wood, and it's kind of all confuculated over here where it's as deep as I'm willing to go. So what I've done is I planed it down to like a wedge shape, and then I'm going to cut a shim that I'm going to glue on top of there, and I'm going to sandwich it all together with some epoxy. A lot of clamps right there. That got filled a little bit more, and this here got a little berm put around it. Some of those holes opened up, so that is actually telling me that the heat is helping the resin get down in there. This here is a bunch of washers I taped together with some electrical tape, and the idea is I'll be able to pop that out and have my countersunk hole left behind. Trim these guys off, take that apart, shave it, and then just see where I'm at and go from there. That's the funnest part. I filled that in a little bit more, level it out. I had to come over here and do this again because it didn't fill last time. And this tape works really good for this. I think that's much better. Now we can clean that up, cut the dowel off, and hopefully, as far as this goes, we're good. I did put some more filler down into there. I made this barrier where there was a splinter missing out of there. Heating it up with the heat gun is working really good. That's a Merle tip. For instance, right here, I had all these like wormholes that were in here. I heated this piece up first and I coated it, and then when I came back, it was almost like the piece was dry. It just sucked all the resin right into it. I did it 2 more times, and each time it kept just sucking it up. All right, I'm gonna blow through this kind of quick here because there's a lot going on. So before I commit any of my new holes in places I filled and doweled, I want to do the fitment of the body parts, and one of the things in particular was this door was low, that door was low. So you got the suicide door in the back and the regular door in the front. They're both hanging low. So there's a couple of things going on. One of them is where the body sank from it being rotted, and some of these brackets pushed into the wood here and there, and probably right there too. So now these are up, and I want to make sure that everything's okay. If you look in there, it's really weird the way this car is assembled, and this whole back section kind of cantilevers over the frame. This is finger jointed in here, and they've got a gap in them, right? So this bracket kind of pushes up on that, and then it grabs it from it's weird. It's not normal. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to worry about the front door. Before I went and did any of this, I tried to tighten this up, pull it in, and everything was sucked in as much as you could suck it in. The screws were stripped out, but there's nuts behind here on the other side. I had that all the way pulled in and no dice. When I was trying to pull it in, I couldn't really do much with this gap. And if you follow this here, so we're tight down here, we're gapped here, and then we come back up to tight again. This was all rotted out right here where we filled it. That made this chunk of the car weak, this piece of wood in here. So I feel like it pulled out this way. And the other thing that may have happened is it may have kind of cocked in a little bit this way. This whole piece actually is pulled out. So I want to try to tip it back in that way. But at the same time, I don't want to push it that way, and at the same time, I need to pull it up. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen at once, and I got to sneak that bracket in, and then I got to hope this doesn't drop down too much without the support of the thing and stuff. But there's only so much you can do, so this part's going to have to work, and we'll push that up later if we need to, if it drops down a little bit. One of the things you can see is if you look inside of here, That's where this piece needs to come in. And it also needs to twist. I don't know if you can see it from there. You know, you might be able to see it if you got a good eye right there, where this is tipped out like this. I made this to bolt in place of the hinge here. And I'm going to pull it with a come along in, and then I'll just show you because it's going to be a lot. But I kind of know what I'm doing, but usually it's after I'm done doing it. So this is hooked up to that. That's hooked up to that over there. And that's hooked up to that down there. So it's very clear what's happening here. I'm going to try to pull this backwards. And I got the bracket on inside there. The bracket's bolted onto this piece of steel that I welded the loop on. So what I'm going to do is I primarily want to pull it this way. And then I want to take and push it up. And then I want to take and pull this that way, which should take and twist this back to where it needs to go. Alright, we're yanked into position here, so I'm just going to go really quick. Alright, I got all the tension relieved from this. Oh, it stayed right where I put it. Oh, that weird thing I had to make to fit up in there. That's the thing, this is the shit that time consumes you. Like, that's just got to fit in to pinch weld there. So I have all my hardware back in, and now I'm just going around adjusting it. And for me that looks like this. So right off the bat, we're beautiful. Look at that. I don't know how you can see it on camera, but like, to my eye, it couldn't be more perfect. I mean, there's no way I could adjust that it would actually be any better than how it landed. And I don't know. I pulled that one right out of my ass. I mean, I didn't measure nothing. I just knew which way it needed to go, and I just went for it. So, yeah, I think I earned it. I think I earned that one. We have perfect, and we have sad, sinky, crappy. We're rubbing down there. How do I make that go like that? All right. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to watch this. All right, strap off and testing. And oh, ain't that a pencil stretcher? This has been murder. All right, there's our problem. That's about how much this is bent. And if we flip it around, look at this one. It says a little bump this way here. And this whole ear is out there, right up in there, as opposed to that. Okay, that's with some hammering, and I try to bias it in the direction I need it to go, try to overcompensate a little bit. If that works, I think what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll just put a little bit of weld in here and right there, because there's a couple spots where I see cracks. That might be workable. See, here's our problem. Now we're a little bit too far with this gap here. Honestly, that gap matters a lot less than this gap. So right there's about a 1/16 of a gap of a step between the two. So, but all in all, no crunchy sound when I hit the bottom, so that's kind of a win. When I left this last night, it wasn't lined up. It's perfect now. It must be alive, I don't know. So I was going to take the shims out, which I came out here to do, and see if what I bent up with the hinge was good enough to just get rid of the shims and land it back right where I want it. But now it seems to have repaired itself. So I don't know if I'm happy or creeped out. Go with happy. So I think the next thing is I'm going to put some of the stuff I took apart back together, throw some new screws in here and there, and then put the center pillar in and see how I'm doing there. This is Dr. Joe. No, it's not Dr. Joe. It's Joe.
It's just Joe. It is Dr. Field.
He is one of the smartest people I know. Joe.
Wow.
He is.
To get his input,
Joe has brilliance.
to get his input from
And Bob has brilliance.
is essential.
This is a power team right here. And they want to say a few words about the Bluick and
Bluick.
how sad it is.
This will be burning rubber in 16 months from now. And that's the truth.
Or oil.
Oh. But definitely rubber.
Right, but that it could be a belt though too when you say rubber.
No, it's going to be the tires.
It's going to be the one wheel. What do we call it? The
Burn
one.
them in place.
The one wheel peel.
So you have to get
That's
glass
fine too.
cut.
That works.
Yes, flat glass. It needs
Safety glass cut.
yeah. Hey guy, look at what he's been working on.